Let's move to example 1.2. Now it is true that our most common position played on the harmonica, especially in the blues world, most of the music played on the harmonica is in second position. So it makes sense that we should be able to also play that scale in second position. So that involves a two-draw half-step bend. Right? You also notice that unlike the C major scale, we can go from 1 blow C, the lowest sounding note, to 4 blow C. 4 blow C to 7 blow C, 7 blow to 10 blow C, and 10 blow C being the highest sounding note. So we have 3 complete octaves of range. If you include that 10 blow half step bend, we do have 3 complete octaves of the scale. So we have to use a fragment. In this case, you see in example 1.2, it starts on the 1 blow C, which is actually the 4th note, or the 4th scale degree of the G major scale. So just keep in mind when we're doing these scales, they aren't just going to go from G to G to G. We work with partial ranges. So in this case, we go from C, which is the 4th, up to the root note to draw G. And it resolves right there on that 2 draw. From 2 to 6 blow, the F sharp is missing, right? By the nature of second position, we have a flat 7th naturally available to us. So you can use a 5 overblow if you wish, or just avoid it. I'll avoid it. The upper octave, we do have the F sharp via the 9 blow half step bend G flat, F sharp, same pitch. And from the 9 blow, again, 10 blow half step bend, not easy to play, not easy to make sound good, just omit it. So just get rid of the beat, right? So if you move from the bottom range to the top range, yeah, it's a little bit funky sounding. What we find out in example 1.5 is about the G major pentatonic scale. For the harmonica, it happens to get rid of some of those issues. You know, starting from the 1 blow C in the key of G major, which is the 4th, is kind of an awkward note to start with. And there's some bends, some bending issues, not available in the middle range, available in the bottom, available on the top, but in a blow bend, and at the very top we got that B, the 3rd of the chord, at a half step bend. It's just awkward, and I don't find myself playing as a professional player really using the G major scale, or at least the complete G major scale. I find myself using the G major pentatonic scale. Let me back up just a little bit, because we skipped over 1.3. What 1.3 does is it shows of those notes, where are the notes of the chord? So our 1 chord is G, B, D, in this case, just using the basic triad, because we're in a major feel, right? We're assuming if we're going to use the major scale, we're going to be in a major context. Well, I already said that most blues is in major, so you're saying that major is not bluesy? Well, that's one of the things we're going to find out as we go through this study. Just because we're in G and we're playing blues doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be very light or very dark or in between. The whole idea is there's different variances, there's different combinations. If you play a blues that is much more light in feel, jump and swing blues would be a good example. Playing more towards the major scale is appropriate, but our issue is the major scale is a little bit clunky as is. 1.3 says, okay, G, B, D, that would be 2 draw, 3 draw, 4 draw, for example. If you're soloing when you're on the 1 chord, you want to make sure, we learned this via our previous study, study number 4, that you should be mostly hitting those notes. So you should know where those are on your harmonica and be able to dynamically use those. Our 4 chord is C, E, G. That's any blow note, right? Our 5 chord is D, F sharp, A. That's where that 2 draw half step bend really does come in handy and it pays off. That is a chord tone. It's important we are able to play the chord tones when we play over given chords. So that D, F sharp, A, that 2 draw half step bend is quite important. To play the whole arpeggio, remember the term arpeggio is just the notes of the chord broken apart. Or if we think of notes played at the same time, a stack, a vertical stack, that's a chord. Or if we take that stack and we lay it on its side, we're playing the notes one after another. That's simply called a melody. So that'd be 1 draw, 2 draw half step, 3 draw whole step bend. All right, so it is accurate to say that a soloist is keeping track of both the soloing scale they're using. In this case, we're just using the major scale. It's not necessarily a soloing scale, it's just the notes available to us in that key, and a knowledge of the chords we're playing over. That's important. We really brought that home in study number 4. And then, of course, your intuitive approach to the instrument. All the songs And embedded in those songs, all the licks and movements and techniques that you learned come together. In other words, your lick vocabulary come together with your knowledge of the chords and the knowledge of the scale. I want to go ahead and just jump right into our major pentatonic scale because that's really the way that we think. If we play example 1.5, those are the first three notes of the major pentatonic scale, and that sounds really nice. Here's the next octave, 2-draw G to 6-blow G. Wow, that really rolls off the tongue. 6-blow to 9-blow. And now 9-blow to the one more hole we have left. It has the B. 10-blow half-step bend, forget that. It's just there technically because it is technically available. You're not going to use it. So I'd actually take a pencil and draw a line through that last note, the B, the third 10-blow half-step bend. If I play from the bottom and back down, you're going to hear that it beautifully lays on the harmonica. Yeah, I just played the notes all the way up without repeating the root note, 2-draw G, 6-blow G, 9-blow G, right? So we took from the major scale to create the major pentatonic scale through deletion. Let's take a look at what was deleted. First scale degree G, second scale degree A, third scale degree B, fourth scale degree C, our fifth D, sixth E, seventh F sharp, and back to the root or the octave G. Okay, so here's our major scale. What the major pentatonic scale does is it gets rid of the half steps. So where are the half steps? Between the third and the fourth note, the seventh note and the octave. So in this case we use 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We get rid of the half step here by omitting the fourth scale degree, and it goes right to the fifth, sixth, and then it omits the seventh scale degree so that we don't have that half step between the seventh scale degree and the octave. So the major pentatonic scale is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and then we're at the octave. So it omits the fourth scale degree and the seventh scale degree. By not having any half steps in our music, half steps are what we call leading tones. They aggressively want to lead you towards a resolution. That F sharp wants to lead to G, right? If we get rid of those leading tones that lead us places, you get a scale that has more of an aesthetic feel of floating. Yeah, it's just a very, very pretty sound.